Well, hello and welcome to a new video. Today I'm gonna tell you all about my concealers. So a few months ago, I started videos where I create a tag for each category of my makeup collection. I did a tag all about my primers, a tag about my foundations, and of course the next step is to do the same kind of a video for my concealers. So what I do is that I create a list of 10 categories or 10 questions, if you will, and within each of these I put one or two of my concealers. The first one is the concealer I'm wearing today, and it is the Jouer Essential High Coverage Liquid Concealer. I have mine in the shade Wheat. This is definitely a high coverage concealer. It's one of my favorite. I wear this a ton. I really love it. I bought it on Beauty Bay. Generally speaking, I've always been very pleased with Jouer products, especially their face products, powders and everything. The concealer is no exception. It's a very good coverage, but it's not too thick. You know what I mean? Like, it still melts into the skin quite nicely. It doesn't look like you're wearing a ton of concealer. You know what I mean? It's just a very beautiful product. It gets along great with foundation and powders that you can put on top. It's definitely one of my favorites. The second category is the least expensive concealer in my collection, and that's an easy one. This is from Essence. It's the Stay All Day 16-hour long-lasting concealer. I have mine in the shade 20 Soft Beige. This is €2.59, so basically nothing. And in terms of coverage, it does basically nothing. This concealer is actually gonna disappear from my collection, which is also why I was like, okay, I need to make this video now before I throw it out, because yeah, it really doesn't do much in terms of coverage. Even if I want something a bit more natural or a bit more hydrating or whatever, I wouldn't go for this one. It's actually quite drying. It's not very flattering, honestly. Even if you want to go for a very light, close to nothing, like no makeup kind of makeup, I wouldn't advise you to get this. Honestly, it's just, if you put this or nothing, it's almost the same. Granted, it doesn't cost much, but as far as I'm concerned, I'd rather put an extra €10 and get something that actually works. So really, this I would stay away from. At the other end of that spectrum, in number 3, I have the most expensive concealer in my collection, and this is the Nars Soft Matte Complete Concealer. This is the shade Light 2 Vanilla. I'm kind of mad at myself because this is €34 and it's been barely used. The issue I have with this is the shade. It's too light. It's a bit, I don't know, it's a little bit too pink. I don't know, there's something about the shade I can't get along with. I haven't used it in a while, to be fair. I should definitely put it to use again and try it under my eyes. I know a lot of people like this, and it looks like it's gonna be a bit more dry because of the concealer, but it's actually quite creamy. And I know that even people who have dry skin love this. It's supposed to be like super high coverage, long wear, all of that. So I should force myself to put it under my eyes again and just like try not to focus on the shade or whatever and see how I like the formula, because it's supposedly great. We're staying in the Nars family for this next one. In the 4th category, I have my oldest concealer, and it is, like I said, still the Nars. This is the Radiant Creamy Concealer. I have the shade Medium 1 Custard. This is old. I probably shouldn't put this on my face anymore, but you know me, I can't really get rid of stuff. And it's less expensive than the pot version, but still, this is probably around like €32, so it's not cheap, so I don't want to throw it out. This, because of the shade and because of how it kind of dried out a little bit over the years. Yes, years. I like to use it more as a spot corrector on like pimples or whatever. This is, again, one that I haven't used on my under eyes in a while, and I probably should, because this is more of a concealer that pretty much everyone would like, because it's easy to work with and because you can really work around it. Whether you want a more natural or a more full coverage, I know you can make it work pretty much every which way you want. It's not going to be super drying. It's not the most hydrating either. It's kind of an in the middle concealer that just, yeah, it's going to really be to the liking of most people. The category number 5, you guessed it, is the most recent concealer I purchased, and this is the Anastasia Magic Touch Concealer. I have the shade number 6, which unfortunately is way too deep for me. I love this concealer. It's such an amazing recent find. I must say I wasn't super interested at first when it was launched. ABH in the recent years, they've kind of lost me a little bit. I can't say I've been super excited about the brand, generally speaking. So when I saw that concealer, I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I saw a review of someone saying it was amazing. So I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna get it. And it is. It really, really is amazing. The coverage is there, but it's not dry. It's not dry. It's not thick. It's not moving too much. It's an amazing concealer. It has quickly become one of my favorites as well. I still use it despite it being too deep for me, and what I do is that I simply add a touch of another concealer that's way too light, and that way I get the right shade and I still enjoy this amazing, amazing formula. The category number 6 is the concealer I have the most shades of, and the answer actually is in the thumbnail, and it is the Shape Tape from Tarte. So I have the shade Fair, then I have 20S, it's sand something, but you can't see the name, and then I have the shade 22N Light Neutral, and believe it or not, apparently I don't have enough, because I have another one that isn't opened. I have a backup of these, because of course when you have over 20 concealers, you need backups. So I do have a backup, I believe, of the shade 22N, but I'm not sure. This is definitely one of my favorite of all time, which is why I have so many of these. This, unlike the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer, which, like I said, I believe most people would find a way to enjoy, this is not for everyone as much as I love it. Definitely if you're going for a no makeup kind of a look, or if you don't wear any foundation or a super light skin tint or whatever, this is not going to work for you. I find it very easy to work with, easy to blend in within the skin, because it's super liquidy and yet super high coverage. It's really perfect. I love this concealer, but despite it being easy to work with and to blend into the skin, because it's so high coverage, if you're not wearing any foundation or a super light one, you might see a demarcation. Another thing that I've heard some people say is that it's a bit drying. I don't mind because I don't have super dry under eyes, but I know that not everyone loves this. For some people, it's too drying, too heavy, too present, too visible. I don't feel that way, but then again, I'm more of a high coverage kind of girl, both in terms of foundation and concealers. And because of it, it has remained one of my favorites. And Jouer is definitely up there, Anastasia is up there, but really the Shape Tape is such a staple in my collection. I mean, it's always going to be around. Now, with the Shape Tape being one of my favorites, I wanted to talk about one of my least favorite, but I didn't want to put it in those terms because I feel like I haven't tried it enough yet. You know me, when I buy something, I like it to work. I don't like buying something and be like, oh no, not for me, and then having to throw it away. Like, I'm not that rich. So I will always give a lot of chances to a product in order to find a way to make it work for me. And this one is one, I wouldn't say it's my least favorite, but it's just a concealer I do not understand. I don't get it. Like this concealer, like say the Essence one, that is so light in terms of coverage and that doesn't have the best finish in my opinion. I can still understand why some people would like it somehow. This one, I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get how anyone would want to put this under their eyes, and yet here I am trying it again and again. And this is the Becca Ultimate Coverage Longwear Concealer. I have mine in the shade Banana. This is sticky, and I believe I have made videos about it before where I showed you the texture is just, okay, it's high coverage, no doubt about it, but it is just so thick and sticky. See, I've tried using it with a sponge, with a brush, with my fingers. I'm thinking that one thing maybe I could try is to put more of it and to really like not blend it too much and just really press it in like this. I mean, you can see the coverage, there's nothing to say about it, but I mean, look, it's just not, it's not flattering, and it's not a nice feeling to have this under your eyes. I don't get it. You know, I'm gonna try it again eventually. I hope I'm gonna find a way to make it work. I'm also thinking about making a video where I review the reviews on this product just to see, am I doing something wrong? Just generally speaking, is there someone that likes this? How do they use it? This is the one I just don't get. Now, like I just said, I like to find a way to make a product work no matter what. And sometimes I cannot use a product for its intended use, and I try to turn it around and use it another way. And that's the case for categories number 8 and number 9. Number 8, it is the concealer I use to cut the crease, and that is the Huda Beauty Overachiever Concealer. I have mine in the shade Marshmallow. Okay, first thing, it's way too light for me. I always have the hardest time finding the right shade when it comes to concealer. Some of them are a bit too light, but I can still make them work. It is light as hell, which is why it actually works perfectly to cut the crease. Now you might say, just get a shade that works for you and use that as a concealer. The thing is that I don't really like the texture, to be honest with you. It's high coverage. Again, no doubt about it. It is very opaque, which is again why I like to use it as a helper for a cut crease look. But it's just thick and dry. It's just not, again, the best feeling under your eyes. It definitely dries down. It doesn't blend nicely with the rest of the makeup, you know? And all of these reasons for which it's not a good concealer in my book make it be a very nice cut crease kind of base, you know, because it dries down, because it's not gonna melt with the other eyeshadows I have or whatever. It's just a nice cut crease base for me. Now, for the 9th category, it's actually the concealer that I use as a spot corrector to hide a bunch of pimples or whatever. I already told you I do use the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer at times, but the two others I really want to talk to you about is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus and the H&M Custom Concealer Trio. Now, the Wet n Wild I have in the shade light medium beige. I believe I did mention it when I did my video about Wet n Wild beauty products. It is so dry. It's so freaking dry. I cannot put that under my eyes. There's no way. I'm sorry. I'm 34. I'm not putting this under my eyes. It's very dry. It's also a tad too deep for me. And so that's the perfect color actually to correct the rest of my face. And because it's so dry, it's not going to move as much. And it makes it a great texture to spot conceal. Now for the H&M Custom Concealer Trio, I have the shade light to medium. The great thing is that there's 3 shades here. So what I like to do is to kind of mix and match until I find the perfect right shade to hide my pimples. And the texture being very creamy and high coverage is that you can really work it in touch. And again, this is not gonna move. And finally, last but not least, I have the concealer for which I hate the packaging, and it is the Age Rewind from Maybelline. This is the shade Neutralizer. Why would you do this? What's wrong with a regular like doe foot applicator? You know what I mean? I get that people would try to come up with different shapes of doe foot or whatnot. I mean, okay, fine, but like this, why? I don't get it. It's annoying. Now, the fact that you have to put this directly onto your face, I don't mind. If it was for a foundation, I would, but because I only put this under my eyes, I don't care that I have to go like this because I don't have acne under my eyes. Like, no one does. I don't think so. So that's fine. But it's still not super hygienic, you know, I don't like the fact that the product just kind of stays there. You know, when you put the cap back on, there's a ton everywhere. Anyway. What I really don't like about it is that you have to twist it to get the product out. But sometimes you twist it for an eternity before product comes out, and then all of a sudden you have too much. And then it just goes to waste because it just stays in the dispenser here in that mousse applicator and it dries out. So I find it just not the best user-friendly, to be honest. I understand they wanted to do something where you just kind of blend it as you apply it, but you can't even do that because there's always product on here. It's not a good tool to blend the concealer and the rest of the skin. So really, this packaging I don't like. Still like the product, I still use it because I do enjoy the formula, but the packaging, it's a no for me. And that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to my channel because it's free, so why wouldn't you? And I will see you guys next time. Bye.